With my ex-wife, I, a 30-year-old man, have a preteen kid. I was still married to her when she became pregnant with her second child, and I believed the child was mine. However, I later found out that she had cheated and had claimed paternity from the other guy. I filed for divorce after leaving the marriage. I did a DNA test after my ex's son was born, and the results showed that I was not her younger son's father. During the divorce, we also took a DNA sample from my biological son. The divorce was finalized, and as I made more money than my ex, I had to pay a little child support payment to make things equal. For the first few months of her son's life, my ex was with this other person, but he was gone. When he was no longer in the frame, she attempted to crawl back to me. She claimed our son was lucky to have me and that her second son would be lucky to have a father. I advised her to choose a decent man and not be unfaithful to him. She appeared stunned, and I informed her that after what she had done, she was crazy if she believed that I would ever trust her again or wish to raise her son as my own. She informed me that if she and I worked together and raised the boys as our own, it would be better for the boys to be together all the time and that, given the 4-year age gap, they would never know half of the stuff. I told her that if she wanted to be a father figure to her son, she had to find someone else. I said this forcefully. My ex continued to try to push her son on me even after 4 years had passed and she had not found another partner. She would have her younger kid ready and eager to go with me when I picked up our son from her residence, so I had to bring her back to court to set up a neutral location for us to swap him. She wouldn't stop, so I felt that getting together for exchanges in a certain place would be beneficial. However, it got problematic. It seemed to work for a little while, but then she brought her younger son with her, who was waiting to accompany me on Friday when I picked up my son for my parenting time. He had a backpack. He stated he was coming too, walked over with my son, and extended out his arms as though he wanted to be touched or hugged. He exuded happiness. Since I wasn't going to bring him, I felt horrible. I advised him to go back to his mother. The poor child was so perplexed. I hurriedly fled with my son to avoid a conflict. My former partner began messaging me late on Friday night and continued throughout yesterday, calling me a fool for not melting my heart enough to allow him to visit. I've been a great father to our boy, she remarked, and she just wants the same for her son. Then she informed me that I was a fool for not noticing that our son also wanted his sibling to live with me. My son never expressed a desire for it or asked for it when I spoke with him yesterday. He did mention that his mother had instructed him to mention that he wanted his half-brother to live with me and that I should be his father. He was indifferent, though. Perhaps because my son is more interested in his friends than his half-brother and my ex is the only other person in her son's social circle, I find her statements offensive. Am I the foolish one? Not the fool. But my goodness, what a poor, poor child it is. What she's secretly telling the small guy is beyond me. All he wants is love. And whoa, that child's expression is all I can think about. I'm very sorry, Jesus. You sound nothing like a monster, Op. You look after your child. And now she's trying to crawl back, and she's using your kids to help her. Could you bring her back to family court and explain her actions to them? Abuse occurs when a youngster is manipulated. Your former partner continues to deny responsibility for her infidelity and its aftermath. She's attempting to make you her second son's father by accusing him of being nasty to his sibling and saying he was going with you. She's also probably referring to you as his father. Record your handoffs on camera, and print down any text messages that indicate she's pressuring you for this and attempting to reach you through her children. Accompany a friend on handoffs and make sure to document that as well. More proof is preferable. Yes, that boy will have lifelong trauma. Even though it's tragic, you are not to blame. She is alone responsible for this. From the beginning, you've set strict limitations. It's your ex who is entangling a helpless child in grown-up drama that he doesn't comprehend. Furthermore, she is encouraging your son to lie to you, drawing him into it. For the benefit of the two youngsters, if I were you, I would return to court and get this recorded. If this continues, she will harm both boys. My college buddy is getting married soon, and the wedding is taking place somewhere I've always wanted to visit but couldn't afford. Her uncle runs a resort, and he has given her guests incredible accommodation discounts. We planned this for months, sent out RSVPs, reserved a room, set up childcare, all of the usual. Currently, my brother-in-law wants to tie the knot the weekend of my friend's wedding. It's simply a little ceremony and celebration in my in-laws' backyard. They're not doing anything. It won't really be a wedding, rather, it will be more like a family barbecue. In order for us to be in town, my spouse wants to call it all off. I refuse to cancel for the previously mentioned reasons. We've had a disagreement over it. I said his brother could just reschedule it for the next weekend or the weekend before. They don't have any reservations for vendors, out-of-town guests, wedding venues, or anything else that would prevent them from moving it so my spouse and I can attend. It's just obstinacy all the way. I detest the fact that my spouse isn't supporting me in this and has been disparaging me to his family. He believes I have rights. I would feel differently if his brother had a true wedding plan that lasted months and required a significant financial and time commitment. However, like I mentioned, changing the weekend didn't cost them anything. Am I the foolish one? Not the fool. You are acting entitled, how in the world? Months before your brother-in-law made his wedding announcement, you accepted your friend's invitation and your husband agreed. You have scheduled childcare and made financial plans, but you are expected to break those plans because your brother-in-law decided to get married on a whim and he wants you to cancel everything to make room for him. Your husband is the greatest idiot here, but he's the one acting incredibly entitled. He's intentionally trash-talking you to his family and not providing them with the support they need. That seems like unacceptable behavior to me. You ought to leave your hubby at home and attend your friend's wedding. He'll take conscious measures to prevent you from having fun during what ought to be an amazing experience. Next, he can savor his brother's barbecue, who has earned it. She thinks it's not a real wedding, period. According to her, it's not a real wedding. She quotes the word wedding for constantly saying that your brother-in-law's wedding wasn't a real wedding. You are the moron, OP. It is a legitimate wedding, after all. A destination wedding at an opulent resort does not equal a true wedding. For asking your brother-in-law to reschedule his wedding to accommodate your schedule, you are the foolish one. His nuptials differ from yours. Since you had already committed to the brother-in-law's backyard wedding, I'm genuinely interested, OP, would you still feel the same way about accepting your friend's invitation to the ideal destination wedding, even if you had already accepted the brother-in-law's wedding? Never tell yourself lies. Until you said that your brother-in-law's wedding wasn't a legitimate wedding, I supported you. Then you turned into a big, conceited moron. See, she's not saying that his wedding isn't legitimate. She is referring to his ill-thought-out event that was arranged at the last minute without taking into account the availability of ostensibly important guests who already had prior obligations in another nation, which the family now anticipates they will have to cancel. Happily, by which I mean that your marriage is genuine and equal to everyone else's. However, a wedding wasn't held in your living room if you got married there. That is merely a ceremony for marriage. This brother is not getting married. It's a marriage ceremony as well. You make some quite harsh judgments. Not that the wedding wouldn't be genuine. OP has nothing firm scheduled since meeting her brother-in-law. I have been successfully attempting to conceive a child with my partner. She is 2 months along in her pregnancy. As we were hanging out, she informed me that she thought I would sell my motorcycle soon because it was too risky for me to continue as a passion as a soon-to-be father. She's exaggerating. I assured her I wouldn't do that because I've been writing for the previous 10 years and have been okay. She insisted that I complete this task because she wouldn't budge. I informed her that I wouldn't give up my hobbies because I was going to become a father, and that it wasn't her decision to make. And that when we made the decision to begin our family planning journey, she ought to have brought this up. Is it my fault for wanting to keep riding my motorcycle even after my partner became pregnant? Not the idiot, since you're right, she ought to have stated that she considered this to be a deal breaker. But I'm not sure what she means when she says she won't budge. Is she threatening to end your relationship? She is not able to just make these requests. Think about assuring her that she will take all necessary precautions and be safe. Here, everyone is the idiot. Yes, she should have known to clarify this when you were both attempting. to conceive, but if my spouse was a motorbike rider, I too would be afraid of ending up a widow and raising a child alone. So that I can understand her. My acquaintances in the hospital tell me only how frequently they witness these accidents and how horrifying they are. You were not involved in my girlfriend's pregnancy, by the way, until she became pregnant. After a motorbike accident when I was 2 or 3 years old, my dad stored his bike and never rode again, saying, "I can't do this anymore. I have a kid. I'm 45. The problem with motorcycle accidents is that they almost never result from a rider's inexperience or failure to take necessary precautions. Instead, they are typically caused by other people's risky actions. Opie, you're so exposed when riding a motorcycle. I'm hoping this reaches you. Though I don't believe you're a moron, I hope you give this some thought. After undergoing assisted reproduction, my spouse, a 29-year-old man, and I, a 27-year-old man, gave birth to our kid a few months ago. When my sister, 31, revealed she was pregnant, we were overjoyed to learn we would be expecting our babies around the same time. Just over 2 months after the birth of our son, our niece was born. My sister's and my circumstances are very similar. Our husbands commute for 30 to 45 minutes each way at a regular 9-to-5 job. While my sister stays at home with her children, I work from home as a freelancer. We split the first 2 weeks after our son's birth between my husband's work leave and ours, working part-time nights. As soon as I started to feel somewhat comfortable with being a parent, I offered to assume full control on weeknights while he handled weekends and mornings before work. It's a team effort, and that parenting breakdown made perfect sense to me. Every day, my spouse was the one who left the house to go to work. It was his responsibility to get up at a certain time in order to go for a drive. We are past this barrier at 4 months, though to be honest, I kind of regret the peaceful, quiet time we spent together during those extra night feedings. Even though he has a good sleep routine now and typically wakes up just once, we had it nearly down to a science before we left the newborn stage. However, my sister is still going through that difficult time. She has struggled with this issue repeatedly since the beginning. She has been coming to me with concerns that her husband won't assist her with night feedings, that she would nod off while holding the baby, etc. Since I had experienced it myself, I tried to offer her advice. I advised her to delegate nighttime responsibilities to her partner, 6 to 9 p.m., so she could get a few extra hours of sleep while the baby rests, etc. She shot down everything, stating that she wanted her partner to perform some night feedings and that wouldn't work for them. I informed her that her spouse is the one who commutes in the mornings and that it was possible for her to nod off while driving. She could have survived it, just as I had. So she could get some rest, I offered to watch her daughter for a few days. She found both of these quite offensive. She claimed that by acting like a better parent, I minimized her experience. She said that because I had not been pregnant and she had, I was unable to genuinely empathize with her or provide her helpful advice. My offer to look after my niece felt like a declaration that I was needed to assist her in parenting her daughter. Certainly nothing harmful was intended, but may I be the moron here? It's you who is the fool. I apologize for your husband's lack of value as a co-partner. If that's okay with you, then great, but it's gross and inappropriate for you to advise another woman on how to handle problems in her marriage. Your sister believes that the father should contribute equally to the upbringing of their child. For that, she's hardly unreasonable. Before you end yourself without any friends at all, you need to get rid of your horrible judgmental mindset. When it comes to matters that are private to you, other mothers will not put up with your disrespectful behavior. Her body is still postpartum, in addition to that. The guy used a lady as a renting womb to get a baby, but he has no idea what she put herself through ordeals in giving birth to the child. This guy is the biggest moron there is. Men's clothing has pockets for this very reason, to maintain their bravado. To a woman, he is mansplaining parenting. Oh, you conceited moron. This is a completely different circumstance. Postpartum depression is unbearable. You feel pain in all the right places, your back, your stomach, your tits, your bottom, and your hormones are out of control. You also need your partner's love and support, the person you're raising this baby with, the one she just built. Scream at your brother-in-law to get off his butt if you want to be helpful. I'm a man, 22, and I reside with my parents while I look 4. Work. Living under my parents' roof for the first time in 4 years has not been easy. My nutrition is one of the main points of contention between us. Thus, from the beginning of April, I have been undergoing a physique metamorphosis. I've fallen from roughly 190 to 160 since then. I'm 5 feet 10 inches as of this week. I've achieved this by doing a lot of cardio, weight training, and most importantly, calorie and macro tracking. I buy my groceries, cook my food, and manage my diet completely on my own. The only thing I ask of my parents is time to use the kitchen for meal prep. My parents aren't supportive of this. They believe that what I'm doing is unhealthy and dangerous, which isn't the case, partly because they have struggled with weight loss and consider my approach to be extreme. This leads to arguments. My dad constantly remarks about how he never did what I do when he was a Marine and in the best shape of his life. My mom, in typical mommy behavior, constantly says that I'm too thin and should eat more. We argue a lot because they just can't get over it. Tomorrow's my grandmother's 94th birthday, and as much as I want to go, I don't feel comfortable for 2 reasons. The first is that it's a 3-day trip out of state to see her, which means I likely won't be able to stick as strictly to my diet or workout routine as I need to. The second reason is that I know I would feel pressured to eat my family's food. It's all like Southern comfort food, so some of the most delicious foods that will make you incredibly fat. I know my aunts and uncles will make me feel bad and constantly try to convince me to eat, and I don't want to deal with that pressure, plus the temptation since I know the food will be good. So, I said I wouldn't be going. I explained to my parents why, and they weren't happy. My dad said I was being ridiculous, that I couldn't take 3 days off from my diet to see family, and that, in the long run, 3 days wouldn't hurt. I told him that 3 days would ruin a week's worth of progress that I needed to make. I don't like taking cheat days because they always make me feel worse about myself, and because currently, I'm still too fat to have a reason to have a cheat day. My mom told me I was being selfish and that this could easily be my grandmother's last birthday. I told her that other people weren't attending in person and would FaceTime her to see her and speak, and I could do that. They said that wasn't acceptable and that, since I could go, I needed to go. I said that if I did go, I was just not going to eat for 3 days straight, and I didn't want to do that, so I wouldn't be going. I also mentioned that they don't know how to commit to weight loss, so they should stop lecturing me on what I need to do for my body. We reached an impasse until they left this morning, and I didn't. I talked to my brother about it, and he told me I was being a huge idiot and I needed to go see them and apologize to my parents. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot, as they said it could be your grandma's last birthday. This could be your last opportunity to see her in person, to feel her presence. Don't miss that. Also, no one's going to be forcing food down your throat. Choose small portion sizes, and even good Southern comfort food includes veggies. Lastly, your parents are right to be worried because skipping events due to being afraid of the food that'll be offered is a sign of disordered eating. Being around food and being able to make good choices is one thing, isolating yourself to avoid food is another. Agreed, and the fact that at 160 he still thinks he's too fat to have a cheat day is concerning. Not wanting to break a lifestyle change because you like it and how your body functions is one thing, but overcompensating is another. It sounds like OP could use some therapy to help him cope with the feelings he has around food and his parents. Dude, if you can't stop for 3 days for a significant event because the food will make you fat, then your program is too extreme. In 40 years, you won't regret missing 3 days of your diet, but you will regret not being there for your grandmother's birthday, perhaps her last. Consistency is vital, not perfection, and please don't turn dietary and gym stuff into your personality. You'll end up lonely if you don't balance the people in your life. Don't take those around you for granted, no matter how important your diet is. Get your priorities straight.